next speaker is Mr. Vlaho Kojakovic, who is a senior banker at the EBRD. Vlaho is responsible for the Middle East and North Africa and Southeast Europe as well, for all the property and tourism, projects. I would like to sincerely thank him for his participation. Without your support, Vlaho, I don't think how these projects in Serbia and in the region can be materialized. So it is a great honor to meet you virtually. And again, I would like to wish that we meet shortly in person. The floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Simon. And thank you for inviting us to participate at the conference. And thank you, Jadranka and Jagoda, for organizing the conference in such an efficient manner, which I think is so difficult when we are all online. I'm going to actually do a short presentation on what we are doing and what we have been doing over the last 12 months, and give a little bit of a flavor where the markets are going in terms of how the trends are developing, not only in Serbia, but also really looking at the whole region where we operate, from Greece all the way to the Baltics. So if we're looking at the short-term effects, these are really unprecedented times because it is a zero game. So there is no region in the world where these revenue shocks have not been felt. Uncertainty and reduced trade, and the timely uncertainty is something that is bothering us all, because nobody has a crystal ball to see how and when we are going to go back to normal, if ever. In terms of the medium-term sector reactions, the biggest hit that we are seeing is on tourism sector, but also very much on online retail as well as office, the way we work and the way we will work in the future. The winners are definitely logistics and digital development. And long-term shifts are going to see the change in how people locate, how people consume, and how people interact. And these changes are part of our daily lives, part of the way we dress. Do we actually dress completely, or do we just put the shirt on and the jacket on? Do we go to the office, or do we stay and work from bed? Probably the hardest hit sector is tourism. 75% drop in tourism over the last 12 months was not seen in any financial crisis in the last 100 years. A loss of 1.3 trillion is actually talking about a huge impact on the sector, which is in many countries a large part of the GDP. Where do we see the recovery? With UNWTO, we are actually monitoring every couple of months the trends and the potential recovery of the tourism sector. What we saw last year is something which is called rage tourism, which is very interesting. The tourism where we have decided, who are sitting in small apartments in Warsaw, in Budapest, in Belgrade, in London, to simply sit in the car and drive to get a feeling of holidays, not to fly, because we are still too afraid of all the challenges that we might have by actually boarding the plane. By driving destinations showed that they actually can work also in the unprecedented crisis such as this one. So Greece was visited by the Greeks, it was visited by the regional tourism from Serbia and from Montenegro. Croatia was very much visited by Central Europeans, and so on and so forth. This is probably going to be the case this summer as well. In our discussions and work on the field with World Tourism Organization, we believe that 2024 is really the first year of full recovery, or coming back to 2019, which was one of the best years in the last 20 years of tourism. We feel that it will take a little bit longer, and it's going to take some shifting when it comes to mass tourism. But until then, we know that people are slowly regenerating the feel, where are we going and how are we going to deal with hotels versus camps versus nautical tourism. And this is something that we are all looking forward for us to go back to normal, because we are animals who love holidays. When it comes to the commercial real estate, the real winners are really industrial sectors. We saw that everybody learned how to be on Zoom. Equally, everybody learned how to order things online. And you will see in the next couple of examples of the projects that we financed, the industrial sector has boomed. Boomed in Central Europe, it has boomed in Serbia. Supply chain has been de-risking. Delivery of projects has continued in this sector. And there are very low vacancies and stable rents, simply because everybody was forced to go online. Retail sector is the one which is probably facing challenges and will be facing challenges in the coming years. It had very difficult transformation over the last 5-6 years, and now the COVID crisis has actually speeded up the online segment of retail, which means that tenants do not need those kind of services and spaces in large shopping centers as they needed 5-6 years ago. And the next turnover of the leases, we will probably see that tenants will decide to squeeze the space, to actually lower the cost, or to negotiate lower rent with landlords. On a case-by-case basis, speaking to our clients and speaking to our partners, we feel that retail will have to reinvent itself. In what direction, this is still to be seen. Finally, office sector is the one that has two stories to tell. One is the one that we all got used to working from home. We all have more time with our families and children. But at the same time, maybe we have too much time with our families and our children, and we would like that privacy of stepping out and having a normal working day, going to the office and having some peace and quiet of doing the work in front of our screen and with our colleagues. But when you're reading the FT and when we're speaking to our landlords, and we have around 3 billion euro landlords in our partnership groups, they're still thinking how to restructure their office space, how to make it more attractive for people to come back to the office, and obviously how to impose the measures which are going to create healthy environment. So talking to designers, we feel that the new office buildings will probably have all the meeting spaces somewhere at the bottom of the building, so there is no mixing with the outside space and the inside of the building in terms of workers. Imminently, in the next 6 to 12 months, we are hearing in London that testing will be done in front of the meeting room and before every meeting. But hopefully with vaccination, people will get more confidence to actually spend more time one-to-one. We need offices because this is where corporate culture is built. We need offices because this is where young colleagues get their training, get up to speed, and become part of the teams. And these are the things that cannot happen online. So we are sure that office sector will be coming back, but it will have a slightly different shape and different form. In Serbia, we have extremely strong appetite to help Serbia coming out of the crisis with different instruments which we have available. We are providing direct financing and co-financing with commercial lenders. We are providing equity. We are providing debt. We are providing mezzanine. And from that perspective, we are still probably the largest investor in the real estate in the market. In the last year, we have actually focused on a few impactful projects. For us, real estate needs to be green. It needs to look in the future in terms of digitalization, and it needs to be impactful in terms of urban regeneration. And I was talking to Simon just before we started the conference that actually we are extremely proud to work for the last 4 years with Demand, which is probably the leading Greek developer. And we have focused on a small city of Pireo, where we are now on our 4th project, completely reviving post-industrial city that was sleepy, that didn't have actually any life in it when it comes to the 21st century buzz. We have brought several banks, relocated them into regenerated tobacco factory in the center of Piraeus. We have also brought Apple call center for Europe with 30 nationalities, young people who needed their apartments, who needed bars, who needed restaurants. So through urban regeneration of one of these buildings, you actually create a ripple effect and create life in places which were dying for 30 years, to be honest. The next project which is here for this year is Piraeus Tower, the tower which is sitting right at the coast of Piraeus, overlooking the sea and overlooking Acropolis. But the tower which was never finished, actually built 40 years ago, but never finished. And we are now in the process of greening this tower, making it energy efficient and creating probably one of the icon buildings for not only Piraeus, but also Athens. Going to logistics sectors, a little bit further up north from Greece into Romania, WDP is one of the largest platforms coming from Belgium. And WDP is probably the fastest growing logistics platform in our regions. We invested 150 million with them. They have expanded their portfolio or doubled it to almost 2 million square meters. And with this project, we created many internship programs linked to universities in Romania. And we pushed the client to go for EDGE certification of all their buildings in that country. We didn't forget tourism. So tourism is, as I said, one of the main industries for many countries in Southeast Europe. We have provided 100 million credit line to Erste for Croatia and Montenegro, which is being further disbursed to small and medium-sized enterprises along the value chain of tourism, and where we actually conditioned that youth and gender inclusion through training and cooperation is in the core of our loan agreements. So we are seeing now that many of the companies which are de facto frozen, but which will have to be revived over the next 12 months, are using these credit lines, not only for working capital, but also to get their people trained and up to speed when the market's completely open. I mentioned WDP. There's a couple of more bullet points about the actual company. It's an impressive story, and it's a REIT listed company. REIT meaning Real Estate Investment Trust, listed in Belgium, extremely successful and expanding in all of our countries of operation, I believe, possibly in the future also in Serbia. EBRD finance to Erste, which I mentioned, which is going all the way down to Montenegrin coast. And going to the Baltics, we are also working as an LP investor to private equity / property funds. This is the one which is focusing only on green buildings and only on green buildings in the Baltics. Something that is again showing that even in the crisis, the position of city center buildings, which are energy efficient, green, which are healthy buildings in a post-COVID environment, will be the ones that are the winners. And going to Serbia, we had a small loan to CTP, small loan, but to an importantly large company which is expanding in Serbia over the last 12 months, our client in many other countries. CTP, which is currently going through the process of listing in Amsterdam Stock Exchange, and a real case study for how one man's vision over the last 20 years can create probably one of the most important platforms in logistics in Central and Eastern Europe. Today, CTP has around 5 million square meters of logistics in 4 or 5 countries in our region. And Serbia is the new acquisition where they will be actually expanding in the coming years and where you will for sure see and hear more about. I would like to stop here and thank you for your attention, and I will be available for any questions and answers that you might want to propose during the debate time. Thank you.
Vlaho, I thank you very, very much for this very thorough presentation. You gave us a very good, picture of all the important EBRD projects in the region. I hope you keep your appetite for the region. And
Absolutely.
and next year when we meet again, I hope that you have more projects, to give us and show us, And I would like to sincerely thank you for your great support. I wish you all the best, and we're going to keep in touch. Not only for the region, but for Greece and the other countries as well. All the
Absolutely.
best.
Thank you so much, Simon, and have a good conference. Thank you very much, everybody. Bye-bye.